All who had seen this seed were destined to die, yet I swallowed it directly and nurtured it for 18 years. All the medicinal ingredients listed on the prescription have been gathered. Fang Chen separated one gene of the ingredients and handed them to her. Su Qiuning quickly compared them one by one. Her delicate face was filled with pleasant surprise. She gazed at Fang Chen with an almost worshipful look. Much more ingenious than even my senior sister. Fang Chen only needed to glance around to know where the required herbs were hidden. Only their revered master, the Peak Lord of Medicine Peak, could achieve such a feat. She believed Fang Chen must be a highly talented disciple from another peak, otherwise, he would never possess such skill. This expression of admiration made Fang Chen feel a little uneasy. He had, after all, taken 90% of these precious medicinal ingredients. Instead of showing any reluctance, the other party offered such straightforward praise. He scratched his head. Considering the difficulty of refining the black soul bone-mending paste and how much effort Su Qiuning spent just finding the ingredients, it would be challenging for her to succeed with only the portion she possessed. Never mind, I'll see it through to the end, even if it means settling the score completely. Senior Sister Su, if you trust me, I can prepare the medicine for you as well. Su Qiuning's eyes lit up. She was indeed struggling internally, though the ingredients were gathered, she had no confidence in her ability to refine them successfully. I trust you, of course I do. She nodded eagerly. Thus, Fang Chen immediately started a fire and used an alchemy furnace to decoct the bone-mending paste. Soon after, a pitch-black, reflective, ink-like paste appeared before Su Qiuning. However, she couldn't help but frown, muttering to herself. Could it be that the refining failed? But since the other party was helping out of kindness, she felt it improper to say anything. She could only suppress her worry and accept it. She repeatedly expressed her gratitude. By the way, I still don't know your name, junior brother, so I can visit you another day to express my thanks. Fang Chen waved his hand. Su Qiuning nodded her head, exclaiming. Immediately after, her expression froze. He claimed to be a new disciple, and Su Qiuning's eyes widened. Gazing at the young man, who was clearly 2 years her junior, she stammered. Fang Chen's extremely skilled manner in harvesting high-grade herbs could only be cultivated under the guidance of a top-tier master. Furthermore, the technique he used earlier to refine the black soul bone-mending paste was complex and profound, she couldn't even grasp the principles behind many of the steps. Without a renowned master's guidance, achieving this level would be impossible. If he had claimed to be a successor secretly trained by the Medicine Peak Master, she would have believed him. Yet, Fang Chen insisted he was a newcomer, and one who hadn't even formally joined a sect. To put it bluntly, newcomers brought back by the elders but left in the square were generally discarded disciples, destined almost certainly to become outer sect members. How could someone as outstanding as Fang Chen end up in such a situation? She longed to get to the bottom of it. However, the attendant's reminder came. Helpless, she had no choice but to depart. Fang Chen also left, carrying numerous medicinal ingredients. After Su Qiuning's explanation, the attendant could only enviously acquiesce to Fang Chen taking away 9 caddies of high-grade medicinal herbs. High-grade medicinal herbs were so rare that even the attendant guarding the herb garden might not acquire 9 caddies in an entire year. Bidding farewell to Fang Chen, Su Qiuning quickly rushed back to Medicine Peak. She was the only one yet to arrive. Wen Hongyao, the master of Medicine Peak, was an elder over 70 years old, with a rigid personality and little fondness for smiles. Before her, a group of female disciples was already kneeling. Their assessments, without exception, had all failed. Seeing Su Qiuning return last, Wen Hongyao let out a soft humph. A barrage of scolding ensued, causing Su Qiuning's eyes to redden with grievance. She hung her head, looking utterly pathetic, and remained silent. The surrounding female disciples also wore bitter expressions. It wasn't that they were foolish, but that their master's requirements were simply too strict. Each time, the assessments presented challenges beyond their comprehension, leaving them with a profound sense of frustration. Before coming to Qingyun sect, they had all been highly talented individuals in the art of alchemy in their local areas, yet, under her tutelage, they felt utterly useless. When Hanyao showed not an ounce of sympathy, instead, she became even more severe. You have already failed 9 consecutive assessments. If you fail this time, it will be the 10th, and according to my rules, you must undergo 1 year of solitary cultivation. Present your assessment results. Su Qiuning immediately became terrified. After much hesitation, she finally produced the abnormally dark black soul bone-mending paste. The female disciples looked on, sighing in unison. This must be a failed refinement, right? Normally it's dark blue. Junior sister is going to be confined for a year. She is still so young, how can she endure such a punishment? Wen Hongyao also cast a stern gaze. However, upon closer inspection, she was taken aback. She strode forward with thunderous steps, snatched the bone-mending ointment, and spread it on her palm for meticulous examination. In her dim, yellowed eyes, traces of astonishment gradually emerged as she inhaled slightly. What remarkable skill! To be able to refine bone-mending ointment of such quality. This is bone-mending ointment? The female disciples looked utterly bewildered. Su Qiuning was equally astonished, then a look of pleasant surprise appeared on her face. Could it be that her assessment had passed? To her surprise, Wen Hongyao suddenly reprimanded her sternly, "Ungrateful disciple, kneel before me now." This sudden outburst of anger startled Su Qiuning, causing her to immediately drop to her knees. Wen Hongyao's anger intensified as she roared, "You possess immense capability. How could you invite such an esteemed figure to personally refine this supreme-grade black soul bone-mending ointment for you? Even I, your master, might not be able to command such a favor." Supreme-grade black soul bone-mending ointment? Su Qiuning was dumbfounded. She said, "Master, you've misunderstood. Your disciple did not invite any esteemed figure." Wen Hongyao grew even angrier, still trying to argue. Supreme-grade black soul bone-mending ointment is the exclusive prescription of the immortal physician. It's difficult enough to refine even a low-grade version, let alone a supreme-grade one. If this isn't the work of an expert, what is? You unfilial disciple, not only did you cheat, but you also dare to argue and deny it. I shall expel you from the sect right now. Su Qiuning was terrified. She never imagined that simply asking a junior disciple for help with refining medicine would lead to such a disaster. She quickly and earnestly explained, "Master, I'm not arguing. I didn't invite any esteemed figure, I simply asked a junior disciple for help." A junior disciple? Wen Hongyao stared at Su Qiuning, who looked on the verge of tears, sensing she wasn't lying. A look of profound doubt spread across her face. "Are you certain it was a junior disciple? When did our Azure Cloud Sect gain such a formidable alchemy genius? Which peak does he belong to? Who is his master? I shall confront him directly." She refused to believe it. How could she, the esteemed peak master of Medicine Peak, be outshone in alchemy by a mere disciple from another peak? If this news were to spread, how could she possibly retain her position as peak master of Medicine Peak? She might as well relinquish it to him. Su Qiuning immediately responded, "No, master, you've misunderstood again. He is not a disciple of any particular peak, he is a newcomer who has not yet formally joined the sect." What? Such an incredibly talented alchemist, yet he hasn't even formally joined a sect? This is truly outrageous, beyond comprehension. If any other female disciple had uttered such preposterous words, she would have long since been slapped away. However, she knew Su Qiuning would never dare to lie in front of her. This left Wen Hongyao utterly stunned. An alchemy genius, abandoned in the plaza by some short-sighted elder? Could this be heaven's will for our Medicine Peak to rise? With such a supremely talented disciple, how could our Medicine Peak not surpass all others? The more she pondered, the more excited she became, revealing a warm, ant-like smile as she personally helped Su Qiuning to her feet. "Qiuning, what is the name of this junior brother? Do you remember what he looks like?" Su Qiuning, overwhelmed by the favor, huddled into a ball, nodding repeatedly like a pecking chick. A brilliant light shone in Wen Hongyao's eyes. "Excellent, excellent. Tomorrow, you will accompany me to select a disciple. No matter the cost, I will claim him for myself." Meanwhile, Fang Chen, completely unaware that he had already been targeted by both the Sect Master's Peak and Medicine Peak, was still worried about tomorrow's elder disciple selection. If he couldn't enter the inner sect, it would be difficult to get the chance to gather medicinal herbs from the herb garden, as he did today. Once the medicinal herbs he possessed were used up and his spirit stone spent, he would be left with nothing. Therefore, tomorrow would be a day that determined his fate. Just as he prepared to meditate until dawn, suddenly, gasps of astonishment erupted from the crowd. "How beautiful! Which peak do these female disciples belong to? They are truly peerless beauties. And both are stunning. Lower your voice, those robes belong to Heavenly Sword Peak. They are not to be trifled with. Under their astonished gazes, the two women searched across the plaza and finally spotted Fang Chen, seated cross-legged beneath a stone monument. Xiao Chen, Lu Rushua called, her slender and graceful figure clad in a long jade-green dress, her beauty capable of toppling kingdoms. Fang Chen, Chen Xiling, dressed in snow-white robes, immaculate and ethereal, her exquisite face like a white lotus in summer. With shining eyes, the two women dashed towards Fang Chen. "Why are you here?" Fang Chen exclaimed in surprise. Lu Rushua threw herself into his embrace. Though only a day had passed, she acted as if they had been separated for a long time, softly saying, "Si Ling and I will accompany you." Chen Xiling shyly approached Fang Chen. With Lu Rushua already occupying his chest, she could only gently link her arm through his. Leaning on him, she said, "No matter the outcome tomorrow, Si Ling will always be yours." Moved, Fang Chen also embraced her. This scene shattered the composure of the disciples present, making them so envious that their back teeth ground together. It also caused Ding Wanping, the third senior brother of Heavenly Sword Peak responsible for protecting them, to frown deeply. Just when Heavenly Sword Peak finally welcomed a few stunning female disciples, and before he could make a move, they were taken by a worthless nobody. "Who are you? How dare you disrespect my Heavenly Sword Peak female disciples?" Upon hearing this, Fang Chen looked over, and seeing his attire, he knew it was a disciple from Heavenly Sword Peak. His unconcealed hostility made Fang Chen frown. Without further politeness, he said, "Rushua, Xiling, tell him who I am to you, so he stops babbling nonsense." Lu Rushua cupped her hands towards the newcomer and said, "Senior brother Ning, this is my fiancé, Fang Chen." Chen Xiling, less gentle than Lu Rushua, gave him a cold, wary look and said, "I am Fang Chen's concubine. Senior brother Ding has no business here, please do not disturb our reunion as a couple." "What?" Ding Wanping found it unbelievable that Lu Rushua, a peerless beauty of captivating charm and a top-tier genius with a 7th-grade spirit root, would actually be engaged to such a worthless fellow. And that was the extent of it. Chen Xiling, possessing a 6th-grade spirit root and unparalleled beauty, was, surprisingly, his concubine. Furthermore, her demeanor suggested she greatly enjoyed this arrangement. By what right? He, the third senior brother of Sky Sword Peak and the third true disciple, did not even possess the good fortune of having two beauties of exceptional talent and looks. Who exactly was Fang Chen? Frowning, he spoke in a low, serious voice, "Junior sisters, cease this foolishness. Remaining with a person who has no future is an irresponsible choice for your own lives. Return with your senior brother swiftly, I will personally instruct you in our peak sword techniques." As he spoke, he immediately reached out, extending both hands to grasp a fragrant shoulder of each woman. Fang Chen's eyes glinted with coldness. Lu Rushua and Chen Xiling had already stated their positions, yet he remained persistent. Even more audacious was his attempt to use this opportunity for intimate physical contact. He decisively launched an attack, unleashing a startling dragon palm. Ding Wanping let out an angry laugh. What insolent nobody dares to lay hands on a true disciple? He had been anticipating Fang Chen's attack, seeing it as a perfect opportunity to severely reprimand him in front of the two beauties. Allowing the beauties to witness the utter incompetence of their supposed fiancé. Thus, he eagerly met the incoming palm strike. Subduing a mere newcomer, for a true disciple such as himself, should have been effortless. However, the moment their strikes connected, Ding Wanping perceived an overwhelmingly potent palm force that far exceeded his expectations. By the time he attempted to unleash his full power to counteract it, it was already too late. He was instantly sent hurtling backward, landing ungracefully on the ground, a picture of utter disarray. The surrounding disciples watched, utterly stunned. Traditionally, it was always the senior disciples who bullied newcomers. For a newcomer to bully a senior disciple was unprecedented. Unbelievable. Hadn't it been said that those from Sky Sword Peak were formidable and not to be provoked? Was he truly a true disciple? He seemed far too weak. Ning Wanping found the humiliation unbearable. He, a distinguished true disciple, had been defeated by a newcomer. If this news spread, would he retain any shred of dignity? Fang Chen, you are courting death. Ding Wanping unsheathed his long sword, which vibrated with a resonant hum. Kneel and apologize to me, or face the consequences. Fang Chen gently pushed the two women away, his hand grasping the hilt of the sword on his back. His gaze turned piercingly cold as he stated, "Threaten me? You lack the qualification." While forbearance was often wise, allowing oneself to be directly provoked was another matter entirely. To continue enduring silently is weakness. When it's time to show your true edge, do not hold back. Ding Wanping was furious. Fang Chen clearly did not regard him, a true disciple, with any respect. With an angry snort, he charged forward, sword in hand. He shouted, "I'll teach you a lesson, so you'll know what kind of place Qingyun Sect is. And what it relies upon to assert itself. Without strength, arrogance in the Qingyun Sect would lead to a dire outcome." The gazes of the older disciples towards Fang Chen were filled with a chilling intensity. Fang Chen remained fearless, gripping his purple sword tightly, ready to unleash an attack at any moment. However, at this very moment, a clear and resonant shout echoed, "Disciple of Tianjian Peak, do you wish to enter the Hall of Rewards and Punishments? Combat is forbidden in the square, are you unaware?" It was an elder of the square, patrolling with a team, who, upon noticing a confrontation, immediately intervened to stop it. Hearing this, Ding Wanping's expression shifted, and he glared at Fang Chen reluctantly. He decisively sheathed his sword, then turned to face the imposing elder and said, "Elder Bai. I was merely trying to scare him." Elder Bai cast a stern gaze upon him, but out of consideration for his status as a true disciple of Tianjian Peak, he did not pursue the matter further. He merely snorted, "The night market is about to open. If you don't wish to be punished, behave yourself." With that, he led his team to continue their patrol. Ding Wanping clenched his fist and muttered, "What perfect timing! Couldn't you have come a little later?" In truth, it was not only the square, but the entirety of the 9 peaks and even the surrounding Qingyun city, where private combat was strictly forbidden. Once discovered, severe penalties would be imposed. However, he was a true disciple. Even if he had genuinely struck Fang Chen, would the sect truly punish an elite disciple like him for a mere waste product despised by Li Qingfeng? Consider yourself lucky today. Ding Wanping declared fiercely. Fang Chen released his sword hilt and stared coldly at Ding Wanping, stating, "You are the fortunate one." At this moment, groups of disciples suddenly descended from the 10 peaks, carrying lanterns and expertly setting up stalls in the square. Upon these stalls, they displayed various acquired items, rare treasures obtained from external expeditions, lower-grade magic tools they crafted themselves, and even cultivation insights sold by formidable inner disciples. The dazzling array of goods was truly bewildering. Lu Ruxue and Chen Xiling both showed expressions of novelty, revealing the inherent feminine love for shopping. Fang Chen chuckled at the sight and said, "Come, I'll accompany you to browse. If there's anything you like, I'll buy it for you." Since his engagement to the two women, he had not given them any proper gifts, so this was an opportune moment to purchase something for each of them. The two women's faces showed anticipation. The gift itself was not important, what truly mattered was who presented it. "You frog in a well, do you imagine the Qingyun Sect's night market trades in gold, silver, and jewels?" Upon hearing this, Ding Wanping was amused. "It's spirit stones. Do you even possess spirit stones? Yet you boast about buying things for them." Upon hearing this, Lu Ruxue quickly said, "Never mind, Xiao Chen, I don't feel like browsing anymore." Chen Xiling also shook her head and gently said, "When I receive my monthly 100 spirit stones, I'll buy it for you." Fang Chen smiled. He had been wondering where to spend the 1,000 spirit stones he had previously obtained from Su Ganglai. "Let's go, buy whatever you like, I have plenty of spirit stones." He put his arms around the shoulders of the two women and walked into the night market. Ding Wanping chuckled, "You're truly putting on a brave face while being poor. Junior sisters, if you see anything you like, let your senior brother pay for it. This useless fiancé can only sweet-talk you." The two women turned back angrily and glared at him, finding him extremely annoying. Lu Ruxue inadvertently spotted a cyan longsword, a mid-grade magical artifact. The sword was light and gracefully crafted, its quality and style far superior to those issued by Sky Sword Peak. Most importantly, when the stall owner brandished the cyan sword, it emitted a dazzling blue light that could obstruct an enemy's vision at critical moments. For a moment, she couldn't help but take a second look. Seeing this, Ding Wanping eagerly said, "Junior sister, do you like this sword? All right. Your senior brother will buy it for you." He then immediately asked the stall owner, "How much is this sword?" The stall owner was wearing a hat, clearly indicating a special identity and a desire not to be recognized. He replied, 200 spirit stones. How much? Ding Wanping was startled. He said, "A mid-grade magical artifact is worth 50 spirit stones at most, why are you asking for 200? As a true disciple, he only received 100 spirit stones each month from the Azure Cloud Sect. To spend 200 of them to please Lu Rushue was something he felt he could not do. The stall owner didn't even lift his head and curtly said, "Buy it if you want, otherwise, get lost." How could Ding Wanping tolerate such disrespect? He snapped, "I am Ding Wanping from Sky Sword Peak." Say that again. Unexpectedly, the stall owner scoffed, "I don't care who you are, if you don't have the money, then scram." Ding Wanping clenched his teeth, instantly feeling that he had lost face in front of the two women. Unfortunately, the night market was no place for a fight, so he could only vent his anger on Fang Chen. Coincidentally, Fang Chen indeed revealed an amused smile. This only infuriated him further. "What are you laughing at? As if you, who are just putting on a show of wealth, could afford it." Fang Chen shrugged, pulled 20 mid-grade spirit stones from his pocket, and tossed them onto the stall. "I'll take the sword." Mid-grade spirit stones? The stall owner was stunned, then exclaimed joyfully, "This sword is yours." He raised his hand, tossed the cyan longsword to Fang Chen, and then delightedly caressed the mid-grade spirit stones, murmuring, "In this day and age, only the wealthy and influential could afford to buy things with mid-grade spirit stones. This junior disciple is truly lavish. Unlike a certain senior disciple, who is stubbornly poor." Ding Wanping's face flushed alternately green and red. He had never imagined that Fang Chen, a newcomer, would possess so many spirit stones, especially the rare mid-grade ones. Spirit stones are divided into 3 grades, low, mid, and high. 1 high-grade spirit stone can be exchanged for 10 mid-grade ones, and 1 mid-grade spirit stone can be exchanged for 10 low-grade ones. However, mid-grade and higher spirit stones contain rich spiritual energy, typically used by martial artists for cultivation. Few are willing to exchange mid-grade spirit stones for low-grade ones, and even fewer use them as currency for transactions. He said sarcastically, "Lavish? More like a gullible fool. Spending 200 spirit stones on a 50-stone artifact, what a waste of money." Fang Chen curled his lip, "If you're poor, just admit it. Why be so bitter? Do you truly believe this mid-grade artifact's only special feature was that brief flash of green light?" Although it was a fleeting moment, Fang Chen had already discovered the sword's power. "Ruoshue, watch closely." Gripping the azure sword, he immediately demonstrated the 7-star sword art. During the demonstration, the azure sword continuously emitted green light. Once a certain amount of light had accumulated, he thrust the sword forward, and several beams of green light followed the sword tip, striking directly ahead with minor explosions. Lu Ruoshue covered her mouth in astonishment. The green light released from the sword can attack enemies. Fang Chen nodded slightly, "And there's more. These green lights seem to have a target-locking effect, capable of continuous pursuit, causing considerable trouble for enemies. In actual combat, it is undoubtedly a divine weapon." Clap, 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 the vendor couldn't help but applaud, admiring Fang Chen, so young, yet such keen insight. "Moreover, your swordsmanship is quite extraordinary. Although the sword technique just now wasn't particularly profound, you have fully grasped its essence. Many senior disciples on our peak likely don't possess such a profound understanding of swordsmanship as you do. A true master's skill is evident in their first move." Fang Chen's casually demonstrated swordsmanship greatly astonished him. I wonder which peak this junior disciple, with such remarkable talent in the way of the sword, hails from. Why have I never seen him before? It was then that he noticed the two women beside Fang Chen were wearing Sky Sword Peak attire, causing his brows to rise in surprise. Could he be a Sky Sword Peak disciple? That shouldn't be right. On Sky Sword Peak, apart from that sword-wielding madman, everyone else is utterly useless. Ding Wanping, an innocent bystander caught in the crossfire, could no longer endure it. "Who are you insulting?" The vendor looked at Ding Wanping, removed his hat, revealing his appearance. He was a very handsome young male disciple, about 25 years old, with a hint of roguishness. Staring scornfully at Ding Wanping, he said, "I'm insulting you. Got a problem with that?" Ding Wanping, who had just been full of bluster, was greatly astonished upon seeing the person's face. "Gongsun Nan, how can it be you? Gongsun Nan sneered, since you know it's me, why aren't you scramming? Ding Wanping's face betrayed deep apprehension, he gritted his teeth, not daring to utter even half a harsh word, and immediately turned and left. Fang Chen couldn't help but size him up curiously, could it be that this person is formidable? Beside him, Chen Xiling excitedly tugged at Fang Chen's sleeve, Gongsun Nan. On our very first day, we encountered Gongsun Nan, one of the top 10 disciples of the Azure Cloud Sect. As a businesswoman, she was clearly much more perceptive regarding various information than Lu Ruxue. Upon arriving at Sky Sword Peak, she had specifically inquired about a great deal of sect information, including the ranking of the top 10 disciples. Gongsun Nan looked at Fang Chen somewhat blankly, saying, judging by your expression, it seems you don't recognize me? That shouldn't be, am I so obscure? Fang Chen hastily cupped his hands and said, my apologies, senior brother. I am a new disciple and not yet familiar with the sect. Please forgive any offense. A newcomer? Gongsun Nan was startled, good heavens, this batch of newcomers is quite fierce. To have such strong sword skills right after entering the sect. Give you a few years, and I'll have to step aside. He said with no small amount of envy, which elder was lucky enough to take you as a disciple? At these words, Fang Chen couldn't help but roll his eyes. He replied, I have not yet formally joined a master and am waiting for the elders to select disciples tomorrow. If I am lucky enough, perhaps I can enter a certain peak. Gongsun Nan's jaw nearly dropped in astonishment, you weren't taken back to a peak? He glanced at the attire of the two women beside Fang Chen and said, elderly Qingfeng brought you back to the Azure Cloud Sect but didn't take you as a disciple, leaving you to fend for yourself? Though somewhat embarrassed, it was the truth. Fang Chen nodded gently. My word! When did Elder Li's eyes become so blind? Gongsun Nan covered his forehead with a look of disbelief, such a promising talent in swordsmanship, and he actually didn't want him. Immediately afterward, a look of joyful surprise appeared on his face. He gripped Fang Chen's wrist firmly, come, return with me to Carefree Peak. My master, upon seeing a swordsmanship genius like you, will absolutely cherish you as a treasure. Lu Ruxue and Chen Xiling were stunned. Carefree Peak? Isn't that the third-ranked peak? It was only surpassed by the Sovereign's Peak and the Grand Elder's Peak, possessed extremely formidable strength, and constantly produced powerful individuals. Fang Chen was actually going to be drawn into Carefree Peak. This sudden stroke of immense good fortune left the two women overjoyed. Fang Chen can enter the inner sect. Fang Chen was also delighted. To stroll through the streets and stumble upon such an opportunity was truly unexpected. Wait. But then, Gongsun Nan slapped his forehead, look at me. As a newcomer awaiting selection, you cannot privately acknowledge a master. You must wait for the elders to conduct the collective selection tomorrow. What is your name? Fang Chen. Gongsun Nan, taking the lead, said, very well, I shall return and inform my master. Just wait to be admitted into my free and easy peak. Fang Chen gratefully said, thank you, senior brother Gongsun, for your promotion. Gongsun Nan waved his hand, a sword genius like you would be cherished by any peak. However, it's fortunate that only I discovered your extraordinary talent, hee hee. Then, I'll see you tomorrow. I eagerly await the expressions of the elders when you, who no one wanted, display your sword talent before them, ha ha. Watching him depart with a hearty laugh, Fang Chen's mood took a long time to settle. He continued to stroll through the streets with the two girls. Unfortunately, they did not encounter another fine item like the Azure Sword. Xiling, I will find a suitable gift for you another time, Fang Chen said. Chen Xiling's eyes darted around, saying, oh, good. I heard our Azure Cloud Sect holds a monthly trading fair that only supports bartering. By the way, mid-grade and high-grade spirit stones are also considered goods, and there are even more treasures there. Fang Chen nodded. After clarifying the date, he brought the two girls back beneath the stone monument, silently sitting cross-legged to await dawn. Sky Sword Peak. Darn it! Ding Wanping kicked over a stone stool, his eyes brimming with fury. Zhong Qizhen cautiously asked, senior brother, weren't you accompanying the two junior sisters? Ding Wanping slammed the table and recounted what had just happened. Zhong Qizhen also became enraged, this Fang Chen is truly despicable. How dare he offend senior brother? Don't worry, senior brother, I'll make him pay tomorrow. Ding Wanping frowned, there won't be any problems, will there? tomorrow is when the elders select disciples. If he has any mishaps, what will we do if the elders inquire? Zhong Qizhen burst into laughter. Senior brother, what are you thinking? What is he? Which elder knows him? Rest assured, I will absolutely not give him a chance to meet the elders, completely cutting off any opportunity for him to be favored by one. Ding Wanping thought about it carefully. It was true. Who among the other elders would want something that Li Qingfeng didn't want? Even if he died, no one would know. The next day, dawn broke. As the morning light grew brighter, the square gradually became lively. Groups of new disciples, placed in the square, awaited selection by the elders. If they could catch an elder's eye, they would rise swiftly, becoming esteemed inner disciples. Otherwise, they would remain outer disciples with no hope of advancement. Xiao Chen, don't be nervous. Lu Rushua said softly, young Master Gongsun Nan thinks highly of you, there will surely be no problems. Chen Xiling leaned happily on his shoulder, proclaiming, indeed, if you are unable to join the inner sect, it would be a true travesty. Both of them had only fortuitously entered the inner sect thanks to Fang Chen. It made no sense for Fang Chen himself to be left behind. Fang Chen embraced the two women, offering a slight smile as he stated, I will do my best. A disciple, clad in the robes of the Hall of Punishment and Reward, approached with a stern expression, asking, are you Fang Chen? We've heard that you trespassed into the female disciple's spiritual pond yesterday. Come with me, we have questions for you. Fang Chen's heart jolted, and he quickly responded, this is a misunderstanding. The disciple, still impassive, stated, you will have an opportunity to explain. With a hint of helplessness, Fang Chen conceded, very well. Lu Ruxue and Chen Xiling's expression subtly changed. We'll go with you, they declared. How could Fang Chen possibly allow the two women to be privy to such a matter? Furthermore, the Hall of Punishment and Reward was an extremely formidable place, they would not be able to enter even if they followed. There's no need. Wait here, I will return shortly. He followed the disciple from the Hall of Punishment and Reward, swiftly departing. However, gradually, Fang Chen sensed that something was amiss. The disciple had not led him to the Hall of Punishment and Reward, but instead to a secluded and sparsely populated area. Where are you taking me? Fang Chen halted, his voice stern as he demanded. Suddenly, a figure leaped down from a tree above. Wielding a long saber, the figure fiercely struck towards Fang Chen. Already on guard, Fang Chen instinctively activated his movement technique, retreating several steps and leaving a trail of afterimages. The figure from above, having struck at empty air, revealed their true appearance. Zhong Qizhen. Fang Chen's eyes glinted with a cold light. I knew it was you. If I'm not mistaken, Lu Yong, who tricked me into going to the female spiritual pond yesterday, was also acting under your instruction, wasn't he? Zhong Qizhen sneered. He waved his hand at the disciple from the Hall of Punishment and Reward, who then cast a wary glance at Fang Chen before silently departing. It was evident that he, too, had been instructed by Zhong Qizhen to lure Fang Chen to this location. And what if it is? Zhong Qizhen grinned maliciously. As I said, I couldn't do anything to you in solitary Boat City, but here in Qingyun Sect, crushing you will be as easy as turning my hand. Fang Chen offered a faint smile. Are you implying that you, a defeated opponent, could achieve such a feat? Zhong Qizhen instantly recalled the profound humiliation of that sparring match, and his eyes blazed with fury. That was merely a sparring session. I held back some of my skills, which is why I was temporarily at a disadvantage. Do you truly believe that a Foundation Establishment Realm Layer 3 cultivator like yourself can lord it over me? Today, I shall let you witness my true strength. Driven by the desire to avenge his previous humiliation, he swept his blade towards Fang Chen. 5 Tigers' soul-cleaving blade. Upon seeing this, Fang Chen shook his head slightly, remarking, there has been no progress at all, my guidance was in vain. This time, he didn't even bother with his sword. He casually picked up a tree branch and declared, then today, I shall use this to teach you a lesson. Lowly star pierces the sky. Snap. Zhong Qizhen's face was struck by the branch, leaving a bloody gash. The searing pain ignited his fury. You seek death, he roared. He swung his great saber with the full intent to kill Fang Chen, each move vicious and merciless. Fang Chen's eyes turned cold, he would show no more mercy. 3 stars illumine the moon. Zhong Qizhen shrieked as the branch pierced one of his eyeballs. I will have you dead," he bellowed, wildly brandishing his saber, yet his attack seemed as naive as an infant's before Fang Chen. He simply unleashed 7 stars face north, striking him with a branch and sending him flying, causing the long saber in his hand to fall away. Clutching his ceaselessly bleeding eye, Zhong Qizhen shrieked malevolently, "What are you waiting for? Dismember him and feed him to the dogs." As his words fell, several older outer sect disciples, nearing 30 years of age, leapt down from the trees. Their cultivation levels were not low, at the very least, they were at the 3rd stage of foundation establishment, with some even at the 4th. Their number amounted to a full 9. Fang Chen's heart sank. Unless he resorted to using his violet sword, achieving a quick victory would be exceedingly difficult. The opponents showed no hesitation, the 9 of them immediately swarming him. Fang Chen employed his movement technique, engaging them in an arduous struggle. Seeing that Fang Chen could not be killed instantly, Zhong Qizhen showed no urgency, instead sneering maliciously, "There's no need to rush, slowly wear him down to death." The one truly anxious now was Fang Chen, as the elders were already selecting disciples, and if he missed this opportunity, he would never have another. Fang Chen was indeed growing anxious. Today was a day that could change his destiny, and if he missed the elders' selection, his hopes of becoming an inner sect disciple would vanish. Zhong Qizhen let out a furious laugh, "Just keep him trapped until he dies, I'm going to Medicine Peak to treat my eye." Enduring the severe pain, he rushed towards Medicine Peak. As he passed the plaza, he indeed saw many elders had already selected their disciples and were preparing to depart. Meanwhile, Lu Rushui and Chen Xiling, on the outskirts of the plaza, were consumed by anxiety. Zhong Qizhen walked over with a sneer. Lu Rushui's expression subtly changed, and she immediately realized that Fang Chen being taken away earlier might have been a conspiracy. "Did you do this? Where is Fang Chen? Where is he?" Seeing Lu Rushui's anxious demeanor, Zhong Qizhen felt a sense of satisfaction. He laughed heartily, saying, Chen Xiling was also extremely anxious, and she coldly declared. Zhong Qizhen, now even less intimidated, spread his hands and said, "Had ha." The 2 women were both anxious and enraged. Even if they managed to seek justice for Fang Chen, what good would it do? That would be an unknown time from now. Fang Chen would be unable to be chosen by the elders again. Lu Rushui said with immense hatred. Zhong Qizhen licked his lips, saying with a smirk that was not quite a smile, "Kneel and beg me." Chen Xiling said with disgust. For someone like him, even if they truly knelt, it was impossible that he would bring Fang Chen over. Zhong Qizhen, instead of getting angry, laughed even more. No elder would ever know of his existence. Ha 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 ha. At this moment, on the flying beast from Xiaoyao Peak, Gongsun Nan, who was accompanying the Peak Master, scratched his head. He said. He had already circled through the crowd several times, yet he couldn't spot a trace of Fang Chen. The Xiaoyao Peak Master beside him grumbled. Gongsun Nan's face darkened. He suddenly noticed 2 beautiful women on the periphery of the crowd, and his spirits immediately lifted. He nimbly leaped off the flying beast and swiftly ran to Lu Rushui and Chen Xiling. He exclaimed in surprise. Zhong Qizhen, who had been laughing heartily nearby, suddenly had his expression freeze. He violently swallowed a mouthful of saliva. The Xiaoyao Peak Master, the 3rd-ranked powerful elder, wants to take Fang Chen as a disciple? Did he mishear that? What startled him was Lu Rushui and Chen Xiling, who looked as if they had seen a savior, exclaiming, "Senior brother Gongsun, please help Fang Chen." The 2 women pleaded anxiously. Gongsun Nan was stunned. Junior brother Fang is in Qingyun Sect, could anyone truly harm him here? This is Qingyun Sect, who would dare to act presumptuously within the sect's grounds? Lu Rushui angrily pointed at Zhong Qizhen, saying, he instructed someone from the Hall of Rewards and Punishments to trick Fang Chen away, and now refuses to tell us Fang Chen's whereabouts. What? Gongsun Nan's expression immediately darkened. He slowly turned his head, staring coldly at Zhong Qizhen. A chilling aura seemed to emanate from his lips. Oh, you are truly something. You dare to frame someone favored by my Xiaoyao Peak? Zhong Qizhen trembled uncontrollably. The person before him was one of Qingyun Sect's renowned 10 disciples, possessing power so immense he could crush Zhong Qizhen with a single finger. Furthermore, the family backing him was far beyond imagination. Zhong Qizhen stammered, I didn't know Fang Chen was someone you favored. Gongsun Nan slowly approached, his face almost touching Zhong Qizhen's nose. He asked coldly, "Where is he? Or will you refuse to tell me that too?" This utterly terrified Zhong Qizhen, who quickly said, I'll lead the way. I'll lead the way now. His heart was filled with intense regret. He hurried back along the way they had come. At this moment, he wished more than anyone that Fang Chen was unharmed. Otherwise, he dared not even contemplate the consequences. Gongsun Nan followed him and soon arrived at the secluded path. From a distance, they saw Fang Chen, wielding a tree branch, fighting evenly against 9 outer sect disciples whose cultivation was comparable to his own. It was clearly just an ordinary tree branch, yet in his hands, it was wielded with supernatural skill. This filled Gongsun Nan with pleasant surprise. Junior brother Fang's swordsmanship is simply masterful. This junior brother, I claim him. At the night market, Fang Chen had merely performed a set of sword techniques casually. Now, he was exerting his full strength, allowing his swordsmanship to be displayed to its utmost potential. This left Gongsun Nan utterly amazed. Zhong Qizhen hastily shouted, "Stop! All of you, stop!" The 9 outer disciples looked bewildered. Upon seeing Gongsun Nan, they all turned pale with fright. At this moment, Fang Chen also noticed Gongsun Nan, as well as Lu Rushua and Chen Xiling, who had hurried over, and knew he still had a chance. My thanks to senior brother Gongsun. Without further delay, I will return to the plaza now. I mustn't keep the carefree peak master waiting. The group quickly returned to the plaza. Li Qingfeng had already chosen a disciple who was barely acceptable. Seeing that his friend, the carefree peak master, had not yet made a choice, he leaned over and said, "Old Zhao, just pick one. Though they are all of limited talent, it is, after all, our sect's rule. Every peak must select a new disciple." In truth, almost all the elders from the various peaks looked down upon the new disciples in the plaza. The reason was simple. The new disciples remaining in the plaza were all those discarded by the various elders. The probability of finding a promising talent among them was virtually zero. Carefree Peak Master Zhao Wuji smiled and said, "That young man Gongsun Nan said he found an exceptional new disciple, and begged me to take him as a student." Oh? Li Qingfeng looked surprised and doubtful. You can't be serious? With your disciple Gongsun Nan's cultivation, what kind of outstanding new disciple could he possibly deem exceptional? Even the 2 disciples with 6th and 7th grade spiritual roots I just accepted might not be considered exceptional by him. Which elder could be so careless as to overlook such an outstanding talent? Zhao Wuji stroked his beard, not without a hint of pride. He discreetly glanced at the other elders around him who had not yet chosen disciples. He whispered, "If you hadn't already chosen a disciple, I wouldn't have dared tell you, lest you try to snatch him from me." Gongsun Nan said that this person's talent in swordsmanship surpassed his own. Their future mastery of the sword would certainly be no less than his. What? Li Qingfeng exclaimed in shock. Gongsun Nan was a formidable master primarily focused on swordsmanship, always priding himself on his skill with the sword. He actually admitted to being inferior. How profound must this person's swordsmanship be? Seeing the expectant look in Zhao Wuji's eyes, Li Qingfeng immediately regretted choosing his disciple too early. It turned out that among the new disciples, there were still some promising talents that had been overlooked. Unfortunately, having already selected a disciple, he had no more opportunities. Old Zhao, your luck is truly exceptional. To stumble upon such a rare find, it's truly remarkable. Li Qingfeng, filled with envy, mused, however, I'm quite curious, which elder was so mistaken as to let this disciple slip through their grasp? Later, that elder will surely be green with regret. Zhao Wuji chuckled, heaven knows which blind fool left such a treasure for my carefree peak. Just then, he spotted Gongsun Nan returning with others from a distance and couldn't help but stand up. He exclaimed, "They're here! They're here!" Li Qingfeng also quickly looked over. But as Gongsun Nan brought the person before them, Li Qingfeng froze. Fang Chen? Zhao Wuji laughed heartily. Precisely, this young man is Fang Chen. How do you know his name? Li Qingfeng's expression turned peculiar. Old Zhao, the sword Dao genius you mentioned, it couldn't possibly be him, could it? Zhao Wuji also realized something and said in astonishment, Old Li, is this disciple one you rejected? Ha! Li Qingfeng suddenly burst into laughter. Patting Zhao Wuji's shoulder, he declared, Oh, old Zhao, you're absolutely killing me with laughter. After all this time, the sword Dao genius you were talking about was him. Below, Gongsun Nan wore an expression of bewilderment. Elderly, I discovered Fang Chen's sword Dao talent. Is there something amiss? Li Qingfeng chuckled, then why don't you ask him what the result was when I tested his spiritual root? Zhao Wuji and Gongsun Nan both turned to look at Fang Chen simultaneously. With such formidable sword Dao talent, how could his spiritual root be weak? At the very least, it must be a 5th grade spiritual root, right? Fang Chen calmly stated, the result may not be accurate. Li Qingfeng suddenly paused, aren't you mute? Fang Chen replied, just as elderly sees now, what appears may not necessarily be true. Li Qingfeng let out a scoff. He couldn't be bothered with why Fang Chen pretended to be mute, or if he was simply too embarrassed to speak. Then allow me to answer for you. His test result was, no spiritual root. Zhao Wuji and Gongsun Nan were both stunned simultaneously. No spiritual root? Li Qingfeng chuckled softly, otherwise, why would I have refused to accept him as a disciple? Perhaps he possessed some talent in swordsmanship, but how far could a person without a spirit root truly advance on the path of martial arts? Old Zhao, you must exercise caution. Zhao Wuji hesitated. While swordsmanship talent is significant, for a martial artist, a spirit root is the fundamental prerequisite. To accept him or not? Meanwhile, Lu Rushui and Shen Xiling, who had believed victory was assured, now wore troubled expressions. Fang Chen, too, instinctively clenched his fists. Could it be that all his efforts would still end in failure? Zhong Qizhen, on the other hand, let out a long sigh of relief. Fortunately, this fellow had not been favored by any elder. Otherwise, if an elder were to support him, his recent actions would be sufficient cause for his execution by the sect. It was at this moment that Su Qiuning, who had also been searching for Fang Chen for a long time, noticed the commotion. Glancing over, she immediately let out a delighted shriek, Master! It's him! It's really him! When Han Yao spotted Fang Chen at a glance, and with overwhelming joy, she urged her white crane forward, forcefully pushing Zhao Wuji and Li Qingfeng aside. Zhao Wuji, Li Qingfeng, both of you move out of my way. This disciple, my medicine peak claims him. Whoever tries to snatch him, I'll deal with them. The indecisive Zhao Wuji was abruptly pushed to the side. He couldn't help but be stunned. He asked, Elder One, what exactly are you doing? When Han Yao replied with a stern face, are you deaf? I am taking Fang Chen as my disciple, now move aside. Ha! Zhao Wuji was utterly bewildered. He looked suspiciously at Li Qingfeng, old Li, you didn't trick me, did you? If he truly possessed no spirit root, would Elder One be so eager to claim him? Li Qingfeng also wore a look of utter astonishment. This is preposterous. Why were they all scrambling to recruit this good-for-nothing he had dismissed? The test results indicating no spirit root must be accurate. Li Qingfeng stated with certainty. Zhao Wuji was perplexed. What made his eyes widen even more was that when Han Yao, known for her bad temper and harshness towards disciples, now appeared as if she had taken the wrong medicine, her face displaying an unfamiliar warmth that astonished the elders. Fang Chen, come, join my medicine peak. I, the Peak Master, will take you as my disciple, not just a disciple, but a true lineage disciple. Every single elder in the sky and disciple on the ground was utterly stunned. Knowing full well that Fang Chen possessed no spiritual root and had little future in martial arts, she still accepted him as a disciple? And, defying all precedent, even made him a true lineage disciple. Fang Chen was an unwanted disciple, one who had been passed over by everyone else. This was truly a first in the history of Qingyun sect. Fang Chen himself was equally astonished, wondering why Elder One held him in such high regard. Nevertheless, this greatly improved his previously gloomy mood. He immediately smiled, cupped his hands, and was about to acknowledge her as his master. Zhao Wuji, feeling displeased, interjected to stop him. He declared, Fang Chen, come to my carefree peak. I, the Peak Master, will personally guide your swordsmanship and ensure your talent is never overlooked. How could someone who could make Wen Han Yao break Qingyun sect's precedents be ordinary? He must be snatched. Wen Han Yao immediately became exasperated, saying, Is there any logic? I offered to take him as a disciple first, he should belong to my medicine peak. Zhao Wuji snorted. Wen Hongyao's fiery temper ignited instantly. Slapping her thigh and spitting as she spoke, she declared. Zhao Wuji was equally displeased. Wen Hongyao leaped up, and with a swift motion, pulled out several red and green medicine bottles from her waist. Zhao Wuji was not to be outdone, he drew the sword from his waist. Tensions flared between the two. In their fierce contention for Fang Chen, they were about to tear apart the dignity of elders and engage in a full-blown fight right in front of numerous new disciples. This unprecedented scene left the other elders utterly speechless and dumbfounded. Even a disciple with a 6th grade spiritual root would not cause two elders to quarrel so intensely. Just as the battle was on the verge of erupting, Lu Qingxian, who was also searching for Fang Chen's whereabouts, exclaimed in joyful surprise. Qingyun's Sect Master Lu Wenchen sat cross-legged on a white crane, his gaze following his daughter's surprised eyes, landing on the disciple the two elders were arguing over. He asked in astonishment, "Is he the one you're interested in?" Hadn't Elder Li said? He possesses no spiritual roots. You wish for father to accept him as a disciple? Lu Qingxian, however, anxiously pleaded, "Father, please trust your daughter, accepting him is not a mistake." Lu Wenchen frowned slightly, appearing rather unwilling. Elder Wen likely took him in because he harbored some talent in alchemy. Elder Zhao, on the other hand, accepted him due to his talent in swordsmanship. Yet, my sovereign peak requires prodigies with supreme spiritual roots. He is not suitable for my sovereign peak. As the two elders were on the verge of making their move, Fang Chen was about to be claimed by one of them. Lu Qingxian gritted her teeth, summoned a flying crane, leaped onto it, and then swiftly darted to the center between the two elders. Wait! She let out a delicate shout. Upon seeing the Sect Master's daughter, Wen Hongyao's expression became slightly more courteous, stating, "Fairy Lu, please step aside. I must deal with this old fellow." Zhao Wuji also snorted, "Qingxian, do not hinder your uncle Zhou. I intend to teach the shrew a lesson." To their surprise, Lu Qingxian merely cast them both a disdainful glance, remarking, "Who said I was going to dissuade you? If you wish to fight, go do so elsewhere, just don't harm my junior brother." With these words, her exquisite face curved into a smile, and she extended a delicate hand to Fang Chen, saying, "Come, return to Sovereign Peak with me." At this juncture, no one could maintain their composure. It was one matter for Medicine Peak and Free and Easy Peak to vie for Fang Chen, but even Sovereign Peak had unexpectedly joined the competition. Lu Ruxue and Chen Xiling were both utterly bewildered. "Xiling, what exactly makes Fang Chen so special? So many peaks are scrambling to have him." Lu Ruxue was consumed by confusion. Chen Xiling's mind was also struggling to process the events. Although she knew that, given Fang Chen's identity as a 3-star soul master, it would not be excessive for even all 9 peaks to contend for him. However, Fang Chen's true identity could not possibly be revealed. So why then were they all so particularly fond of him? Nevertheless, she promptly revealed a sweet smile, thinking, as expected of our husband, he remains the center of attention wherever he goes. Li Qingfeng was utterly dumbfounded. Why had Sovereign Peak also gone mad, even rushing out to contend for Fang Chen? He cautioned, "Fairy Lu, Fang Chen possesses no spiritual roots. You must reconsider carefully." Lu Qingxian gave him a sharp look, a hint of playful mockery flashing in her eyes. An existence possessing a spiritual root of the 9th rank, one that surpasses even other 9th rank roots, was actually identified by you as having no spiritual roots. It's none of your concern. Immediately, she again cast a friendly smile at Fang Chen, asking. Fang Chen was instantly tempted. Wen Hongyao and Zhao Wuji immediately became agitated. "Fairy Lu, what is the meaning of this? Are you also trying to poach someone from my Medicine Peak?" Wen Hongyao was incredibly anxious. Zhao Wuji also found it hard to believe. What was going on with Fang Chen? Just yesterday, he was a discarded disciple no one wanted, yet today even the Sovereign Peak was vying for him. "Qingxian, why are you also competing with Uncle Jie?" Sect Master Lu Wenshen's brow furrowed slightly as he flew over on a white crane, gently reprimanding. "Our Sovereign Peak cannot arbitrarily accept disciples." He subtly glanced at the Grand Elder not far away. This time, the Grand Elder had once again recruited an exceptionally formidable new disciple. In contrast, the Sovereign Peak had yet to find a suitable candidate. How could such a precious disciple slot be wasted on someone without a spirit root? Knowing she could no longer hide it, Lu Qingxian lowered her voice and whispered. Lu Wenchen asked, surprised. Lu Qingxian also looked perplexed, saying, but this person definitely possesses a 9th grade spirit root, and might even be the legendary limitless spirit root. A limitless spirit root? Lu Wenchen chuckled and shook his head. The limitless spirit root requires a lineage inheritance. Only when parents are exceptionally powerful is there a minute chance for a limitless spirit root to emerge among their descendants. This Fang Chen, originating from the small lone boat city, could not possibly possess a limitless spirit root. Lu Qingxian's confidence wavered, but she firmly believed in Fang Chen's extraordinary talent, saying, I personally witnessed him break through several levels consecutively. He is far stronger than I, with my 7th grade spirit root. Li Qingfeng overheard this remark and felt compelled to offer an explanation, lest everyone truly believe he, Li Qingfeng, was blind and had eliminated a Foundation Establishment 3rd-level disciple. Sect Master, Fairy Lu, you are unaware of the full situation. This young man broke through by overdrawing his potential, which explains his rapid early cultivation. However, I dare say that in the later stages, he will remain at the 3rd level of Foundation Establishment for the rest of his life, unable to advance further. This confirmed the conjecture in Lu Wenchen's heart. He slowly nodded and said. Lu Qingxian bit her red lip, filled with indignation. His cultivation is unorthodox? Then what about his performance in the Ascension Dragon Path? Has there ever been such a potent dark art in the world that could enable a talentless individual, devoid of spiritual roots, to defeat Nangong Luyun of the 13th level? She had originally intended to voice this point as well, but upon seeing her father's complete lack of trust, she involuntarily held her breath in frustration. She was determined to prove to her father that she was not mistaken. Lu Wenchen had no desire to continue indulging her antics. He stated, enough. Our sovereign peak will not accept this child. Elders, please continue. No sooner had he finished speaking. Lu Qingxian suddenly gritted her teeth and whispered, Fang Chen and I have secretly pledged our lives to each other. If you don't accept him as a disciple, then expect your daughter to elope with him. Lu Wenchen's pupils constricted for a moment, and he immediately realized his daughter was lying. He was well aware of his daughter's character. She was virtuous, devoted to martial arts, and had never shown favoritism towards any man. Even the young pavilion master of the Pavilion of Heavenly Secrets, who pursued her relentlessly, had never received a single pleasant look from her. How could she possibly be involved in something ambiguous with a poor boy? However, Lu Qingxian, twirling a strand of hair from her chest, pointed her lips towards Fang Chen and said, if you don't believe me, ask him. Yesterday, in the spiritual pool, did we not see each other in the raw? She spoke with a mix of truth and fabrication. Saw each other in the raw? Lu Wenchen's heart skipped a beat, and he exclaimed in a low voice, how could you possibly do such a thing? Don't even think about deceiving your father. It was evident that he was nervous. Lu Qingxian feigned shyness and said, he possesses the supreme spiritual root. I offered myself to him to keep him here, for the good of Qingyun sect, and for your own good, father. Lu Wenchen felt a dizzying sensation, almost toppling headfirst from the white crane. His proud daughter had actually given her purity to a good-for-nothing without spiritual roots. What face would he have left to meet others with? At this moment, Lu Qingxian delivered another blow. Father, if you don't accept him as a disciple, your daughter will have no choice but to elope with him. By then, our affair will no longer be a secret. Upon hearing these words, Lu Wenchen immediately felt suffocated. Family disgraces should not be aired publicly. He would rather die than let anyone know about such a matter. Especially the Grand Elder. Otherwise, this incident would again become a handle for the Grand Elder to accuse him, the Sect Master, of incompetence. The only course of action now was to take Fang Chen under his wing, firstly, to keep a close eye on him, preventing him from running off and blabbing, thus exposing the matter. Secondly, if the secret were ever to be exposed, he could use their strong bond during their time as fellow disciples as an excuse to quell external criticism. In an instant, he considered many layers of implications. Therefore, when he looked at Fang Chen again, his expression was exceptionally complex. There was the indignation of his cherished protege, whom he had diligently fostered for 20 years, seemingly being claimed by an unworthy individual. And also the helplessness of worrying about the scandal being exposed. Finally, he secretly suppressed his various grievances and revealed an expression of satisfaction. He then said, Fang Chen, Xingxian holds you in high regard. This sect master has decided to grant you an opportunity to demonstrate your abilities. Are you willing to become my disciple? Any discerning individual knew that the status of a sect master's disciple was a notch higher than that of a peak master's. How could he possibly hesitate? He then bowed, declaring, Disciple Fang Chen respectfully greets the sect master. When Hong Yao stomped her foot in vexation, this is cheating. Zhao Wuji also sighed with helplessness, alas, with the sect master personally intervening, what means do I have to compete? Clap, clap, clap. At that moment, someone began to applaud. Dressed in a grey robe, he exuded authority without needing to express anger, and his eyes were as sharp as an eagle's. Who else could it be but Feng Guzan, the Grand Elder of the Azure Cloud Sect? He applauded with a forced smile. The sect master truly possesses exceptional foresight, taking in a disciple with no spiritual root. This elder is truly impressed, truly impressed. It is indeed a blessing for our Azure Cloud Sect to have a sect master with such extraordinary discerning vision. The sarcastic mockery caused Lu Wenchen to lose face. He forced himself to remain calm, stating, Grand Elder, your words are mistaken. A spiritual root is only one aspect of a martial artist. Fang Chen may not necessarily lack potential. Lu Qingxian, however, was not as reserved as her father. She retorted impolitely, Don't worry. You couldn't possibly compare to the disciple my father has accepted. The Grand Elder laughed heartily, Is that so? Among the new disciples I have taken in this time, there is a prodigy with a 7th grade spiritual root. Are you suggesting that he is inferior to the spiritual rootless martial arts cripple? Lu Qingxian, raising her pale neck, declared, Exactly. The various elders exchanged glances, not understanding what had possessed Lu Qingxian to so highly favor someone without a spiritual root. Beside the Grand Elder stood a young man, sword cradled in his arms, whose gaze and demeanor were extraordinary. Upon hearing these words, a sharp glint appeared in his eyes. Senior Sister Lu, my name is Chaozhen, and I possess a 7th grade spiritual root. It turned out he was the top prodigy identified by the Grand Elder. Upon learning of his 7th grade spiritual root, all the elders showed signs of envy. Chaozhen gazed at Lu Qingxian, a look of admiration on his face, and said, I have long admired Senior Sister Lu. I've always heard people speak of you as a peerless female prodigy, and seeing you today, it's clear the rumors are true. Lu Qingxian glanced at him. Had it been before, she would have regretted such a prodigy falling under the Grand Elder's tutelage. But now that she had Fang Chen, with his 7th grade spiritual root, she no longer cared. What do you want? Lu Qingxian asked indifferently. Chaozhen said with a half-smile, Senior Sister Lu truly underestimates me, believing me to be inferior to a good-for-nothing with no spiritual root. This junior brother is quite unconvinced. Coincidentally, in half a month, it would be the day for new disciples to pay respects to the founder of the Azure Cloud Sect. As per tradition, new disciples would compare their skills before the founder's statue. At that time, I would like to have a friendly spar with this junior brother Fang. Everyone watched Chaozhen with keen interest, as if sensing some underlying intention. As expected, Chaozhen chuckled, If I defeat Fang Chen, whom you favor, might I invite Senior Sister Lu to spend some time with me under the moonlight, and offer 3 cups of wine as an apology for having underestimated me? Well, I'll be. He actually dared to flirt with Lu Qingxian in public. The Grand Elder's faction truly held no regard for the sect master. Even a newly accepted disciple dared to be so audacious in front of everyone. A sharp glint appeared in Lu Wenchen's eyes, he was about to reprimand him. Yet Lu Qingxian's lips curved slightly into a half-smile as she asked, What if Fang Chen wins? What? Lu Qingxian actually intended to accept the wager? Surely she didn't know Chaozhen's cultivation level? Lu Wenchen's expression also changed slightly, and he urgently whispered, Qingxian, don't fall for it. How could a mere new disciple dare to flirt with the sect master's daughter? It was clearly instigated by the Grand Elder to give Sect Master Peak a display of dominance. However, Lu Qingxian, full of confidence in Fang Chen, whispered, Father, this is our chance to turn the tables. The Grand Elder prides himself on this 7th grade spiritual root, let us decisively defeat him in the very area of his greatest pride. Having spoken, she looked at Chaozhen again. I'm asking you, what if you lose? Chaozhen smiled and said, Senior Sister Lu, you probably don't know me well yet. He slowly released his spiritual power. The purity of it greatly astonished all the elders present. Foundation establishment, 4th level. Truly worthy of a 7th grade spiritual root, to possess such cultivation at this age is entirely comparable to Lu Qingxian in her prime. Even Li Qingfeng showed a hint of envy. If Lu Ruxue also had the foundation of the Chao family, she would surely be no worse than him. What a pity! Lu Wenchen was slightly surprised, but even more so felt that Lu Qingxian was inviting humiliation upon herself. Not only was there a difference of 1 cultivation realm between them, but could Fang Chen's background possibly compare to that of the Chao family? Chao Zhen's cultivation technique was far more profound than Fang Chen's. The outcome of their spar in half a month was already self-evident. Yet Lu Qingxian revealed a playful expression and asked, "Which level have you reached in the ascending dragon path?" With a hint of boastfulness, Chao Zhen proudly declared, "The 12th level." Surpassed only by that peerless prodigy. Upon hearing this, all the elders present showed expressions of astonishment. They had long heard rumors of that peerless prodigy who had reached the 13th level. Such an individual was destined to become a colossal figure, a pillar of strength, in the future. It was unexpected that Chao Zhen was second only to them. A subtle, cold smile played on Lu Qingxian's lips as she said, "Quite impressive. Just answer my question, what happens if you lose?" Chao Zhen frowned slightly, he was growing annoyed. He had already displayed such outstanding strength, yet Lu Qingxian still believed he would lose? And to lose to a useless person with no spiritual root. He let out a soft huff. "If I lose, I will withdraw from Reincarnation Peak and become a disciple of the Sect Master's Peak." Lu Wenchen's eyes lit up, but then quickly dimmed. He truly valued this 7th grade spiritual root, but unfortunately, Fang Chen lacked the ability to win. Lu Qingxian smiled slightly. "Very well, I'll await your departure from Reincarnation Peak." Fang Chen, with a puzzled expression, raised his hand. Shouldn't you ask for my opinion first? Whether or not to gamble, shouldn't you ask the person involved? Provoking the Grand Elder's disciple out of nowhere will surely lead to trouble in the future, won't it? Lu Qingxian smiled sweetly as she approached him, whispering in his ear, "Was senior sister's body for you to see for free?" Fang Chen's old face flushed, and he muttered, "I didn't see anything, alright? The spiritual pond was so misty, I only saw a faint outline." Lu Qingxian noticed Fang Chen's face was crimson and playfully glared at him. "No way, you're actually blushing?" Unable to bear her teasing, Fang Chen moved away and declared, "I agree then. Let's never speak of the spiritual pond again." Lu Qingxian covered her mouth and chuckled, finding Fang Chen increasingly amusing. He seemed to her like a pure, simple young man. Unable to resist, she revealed the truth, "No longer teasing him, allowing you to participate in the spar is for your own benefit." Historically, during the ceremony where new disciples pay homage to the patriarch, the most outstanding new disciple is chosen, and the Azure Cloud Sect bestows a reward, entry into the scripture pavilion to select a cultivation technique. Such a benefit exists. He had long desired to acquire a higher grade sword technique but had lamented the lack of opportunity. Fang Chen smiled, "Very well, I accept the challenge." Chao Zhen observed their intimacy, and a flicker of jealous flame danced within his eyes. Gazing down at Fang Chen from a distance, he said, "In half a month, we shall compete. I hope you don't lose too quickly." He secretly vowed to severely punish Fang Chen in front of Lu Qingxian, making her witness the man she so favored being beaten like a dead dog. Soon after, the elders and disciples gradually dispersed. Fang Chen bid farewell to Lu Ruxue and Chen Xiling, then followed Lu Wenchen towards the Sovereign Peak. Lu Ruxue watched Fang Chen depart, her gaze sweeping over the graceful purple figure of Lu Qingxian, and she sighed helplessly, "Xiling, you're about to have a younger sister." Chen Xiling was caught between laughter and tears, having also noticed it. She remarked, "It does seem that the Sect Master's daughter is truly interested in Fang Chen." Lu Ruxue rubbed her temples and said, "What kind of taste do you two have? Why are you both interested in Fang Chen? I truly don't understand what's so great about him." She loved Fang Chen because of their 10 years together and the tender affection he showed her. But why did Chen Xiling suddenly fall for Fang Chen and even willingly accept a secondary role? Well, perhaps Chen Xiling and the Chen family reluctantly agreed due to their predicament at the time. Yet, how could the esteemed daughter of the Azure Cloud Sect Master also be interested in Fang Chen, a man with 2 wives? This left her utterly perplexed. To this, Chen Xiling could only offer a wry smile. In her view, it wasn't Lu Qingxian lowering herself, rather, she had inadvertently found an incredibly powerful patron. Sovereign Peak. Lu Wenchen returned, his mood clearly displeased. Fang Chen, since you have become a disciple under the Sect Master, from now on, you shall focus solely on martial cultivation. Practice on the peak when idle, refrain from venturing out, and, most importantly, do not spread any rumors unfavorable to this peak. Do you understand? Fang Chen was utterly bewildered. Even if he wanted to spread unfavorable rumors, he would first need some gossip to disseminate. As someone who had just arrived, where would he even hear such gossip? Although he found this admonition inexplicable, he listened humbly. Yes, master. Lu Wenchen was rather satisfied with his attitude and casually handed him some items. These are your resources for this month, a bottle of low-grade foundation establishment pills and 100 spirit stones. This is the key to your cultivation cave. Furthermore, starting tomorrow, you will be responsible for collecting honey. Upon hearing the preceding announcements, Lu Qingxian had no strong reaction. However, upon learning that Fang Chen was to collect honey, she expressed her displeasure. Father, Fang Chen has just arrived, and you're already making him collect honey? Those wolf-head bees are fierce, they sting anyone they see, and the pain is excruciating. He has no experience at all, and you're sending him to do this? This is clearly a reprisal. Fang Chen had encountered mentions of wolf-head bees in the Undying medical tome. They are a rare and precious type of spirit bee, producing honey infused with unique spiritual energy, a delicacy that even high-level cultivators rarely have the chance to taste. Nevertheless, as Lu Qingxian had stated, collecting honey from wolf-head bees was fraught with considerable danger. Without experience, one could be stung repeatedly, resulting in a head full of painful welts, causing one to cry out in agony. Fortunately, the medical tome had mentioned a certain medicine that could easily counter the wolf-head bees. With a stern expression, Lu Wenchen declared, every disciple on this peak has duties, Fang Chen is no exception. He must not only collect honey but also ensure that he gathers one caddy within 3 days. Should he fail, he will be punished. Do you understand, Fang Chen? Just as Lu Qingxian was about to intercede on Fang Chen's behalf, Fang Chen stated, Senior sister, I have no problem with this. I guarantee I will complete what Master has instructed. Lu Wenchen nodded. After you finish collecting, your senior disciple brother will grade your task. Do not end up in last place and become a laughingstock among your fellow senior disciples. Each disciple possessed their own assigned tasks, which were graded by the head disciple upon completion. This served as a form of competition among the disciples of this peak. Fang Chen's eyes flickered slightly. And what if the grading is high? Lu Wenchen couldn't help but let out an exasperated chuckle. You've just arrived and already aspire to surpass your fellow senior disciples? If you rank among the top 3, you may keep half of the honey you collect. Fang Chen was secretly delighted and replied, Yes, Master. To the south of the Sect Master's peak, away from the Grand Hall and near a cliff, stood a secluded courtyard. This will be your cultivation cave from now on. Holding the key, Lu Qingxian unlocked the gate of the secluded courtyard for Fang Chen. With discontent, she remarked, My father is clearly retaliating against you. Not only did he give you the most difficult task, but even your cultivation cave is the most remote. Fang Chen, however, rather liked this location. The cultivation caves of the other senior disciples were clustered together, closely adjoining one another. While such an arrangement was certainly lively, Fang Chen was in great need of a private space. For activities such as alchemy, medicine refining, and body tempering, among others. Thank you for your concern, senior sister, but I am very content with this place. As for the task, you can rest assured, I will not disappoint Master. Fang Chen's lack of complaint and his positive, proactive attitude made Lu Qingxian feel somewhat uneasy. It was she who had forcibly pressed her father to accept him as a disciple, thus leading to Fang Chen's unfavorable situation. She patted Fang Chen's shoulder. Regarding the task, I will also help you find a way. We must make my father look at you with new eyes. Fang Chen smiled and saw Lu Qingxian off. He immediately closed the door, confirming that the doors and windows were protected by formations, making them extremely secure and difficult for outsiders to easily break into or spy upon. He then felt at ease. He immediately took out the ingredients for the fierce tiger pill and began to concoct it on the spot. An hour later, a medicinal fragrance, imbued with the scent of roses, wafted from the pill furnace. Fang Chen then knew that the fierce tiger pill was complete. After opening the pill furnace, he indeed saw several orange-yellow pills with white patterns on their surface, resembling tiger stripes at first glance. No wonder it was called the fierce tiger pill. Fang Chen took them out, then retrieved the excerpt of that iron blood true scripture and began to comprehend it. Body tempering was distinctly different from cultivating techniques. It did not utilize the dantian or meridians, but rather the body's muscles and bones. Through them, power was released. Once he had largely understood the first layer, he began to cultivate it. He first drew the purple sword, taking 3 breaths of time to laboriously execute a sword flourish. He wondered if performing it would become easier after completing the first layer of cultivation. Thus, he swallowed a fierce tiger pill and began cultivating the iron blood true scripture. As the pill entered his stomach, he immediately felt a burning pain in his abdomen. He knew this was the medicinal effect taking hold. He immediately followed the method described in the iron blood true scripture, guiding the medicinal power to permeate the bones and muscles throughout his body. The intense pain in his abdomen lessened, while a burning sensation gradually spread throughout his entire body. However, this was also the core of body tempering. He endured the pain, continuously guiding the medicinal power to cleanse his body again and again. Finally, half a day later, a layer of grayish-brown, sticky impurities adhered to his body's surface, carrying a faint stench. The mark of achieving great success in the first layer, copper skin and iron bones, was the initial expulsion of impurities from the body. A joyful expression appeared on Fang Chen's face. "Ha! I have cultivated the first layer of copper skin and iron bones from the iron blood true scripture, which no one in the giant sect could ever master." He immediately picked up the purple sword and attempted a sword flourish. Although it still seemed somewhat clumsy, it only took 1 breath of time. It truly worked. Fang Chen immediately began practicing the 7-star sword art, finally able to perform it somewhat completely, unlike before when even a single swing was strenuous. "Junior brother Fang." At that moment, an unfamiliar voice called from outside the door. Fang Chen immediately rewrapped the purple sword, then wiped off the impurities from his body and opened the door to look. It was a stout disciple dressed in the attire of the Sect Master's peak. "Junior brother Fang, Master has called you to the dining hall for a meal." A rumbling sound. Only then did Fang Chen realize he hadn't eaten anything since morning, and his stomach uncooperatively growled. "Thank you for the reminder, senior brother. I'll go shortly." Returning to his room, he took a bath, changed into clean clothes, and then made his way to the dining hall. Inside, around 20 disciples were eating. Upon seeing Fang Chen enter, they immediately cast curious glances his way. "So he's the junior brother senior sister Lu insisted Master take in. I heard he has no spiritual root." For his sake, senior sister Lu even went so far as to make a bet with Chao Zhen of Reincarnation Peak. His prominence even surpasses that of junior brother Tao, the Sect Master's new disciple with a 6th-grade spiritual root. During this round of disciple recruitment across the peaks, Lu Wenchen was not without gains. He had accepted a disciple with a 6th-grade spiritual root and was preparing to designate him as this year's true disciple. Everyone's gaze collectively shifted to Tao Zhenjun, who stood not far away, a burly figure resembling an iron tower. He, too, had heard the discussions and couldn't help but look towards Fang Chen as he entered. There was a hint of hostility in his eyes. Tao Zhengjun spoke with an unkind tone, his bell-like eyes glaring at Fang Chen. "Newcomer, I hear you're quite good at charming women, eh? You even sweet-talked senior sister Lu into an exception, getting yourself accepted into our Sect Master's peak." Fang Chen, who was solely focused on eating, was suddenly provoked. Following the sound, he was also startled by the exaggeratedly burly physique. He was at least 2 meters tall, his body a mass of flesh. Standing, he resembled a mountain of meat, exerting considerable pressure. With no prior grudges, why provoke trouble unnecessarily? He ignored the other party, picked up a bowl, filled it with a large portion of rice, and then added a generous amount of meat. He wondered if it was because body cultivation consumed an extraordinary amount of food. He had never been this hungry before. Sitting down, he started devouring his meal heartily. Tao Zhengjun grew angry, slamming his chopsticks forcefully onto the dining table. The iron-cast chopsticks were astonishingly bent from the impact. "You, little runt, are you ignoring my words?" Like a moving small mountain, he strode purposefully towards Fang Chen. Many disciples wore expressions of anticipation, eager to watch the show. However, some female disciples sensed that things were not looking good. "Senior brother, please stop him. What if he accidentally hurts junior brother Fang?" A female disciple reminded a handsome man in green robes, over 30 years old, who stood beside her. His gaze was calm as he stated, "It's quite normal for new disciples to have disputes. It's better to let them compete, so they can distinguish between the strong and the weak and understand their hierarchy. This will significantly reduce future conflicts." This was indeed true. As new recruits, who would willingly be inferior to others? To avoid constant future conflicts between them, or the senior disciples would always have to mediate. It was better to determine dominance early on. This way, the weaker party would naturally avoid the stronger one. With fewer disputes between them, the senior disciples would also have much less to deal with. The female disciples' concern was, are we certain this won't escalate? Not only was Tao Zhengjuan's cultivation level very high, but the Tao family was also renowned for body refining techniques. With Fang Chen's slender build, she worried he might be seriously injured. The senior disciple brother ate his meal with unwavering concentration, his gaze fixed. He calmly stated, since junior disciple brother Fang is valued by junior disciple sister Lu, he should bear the corresponding burdens. If he cannot even withstand a minor injury, he might as well leave the sovereign peak early. Only then did the female disciple detect a hint of jealousy in his words. The senior disciple brother harbored admiration for Lu Qingxian. This was an open secret among them. He, who had always been stern and unyielding towards men, displayed an unprecedented attitude towards Fang Chen. This naturally made the senior disciple brother envious. She sighed softly, "Fang Chen, don't blame your senior brothers and sisters for not helping you. Blame yourself. If you lack the skill, why take on such a delicate task?" She already pictured Fang Chen beaten black and blue. Several disciples had intended to intervene, but seeing that the senior disciple brother showed no intention of stopping it, they very sensibly returned to their benches. Tao Zhengjuan's mountainous frame caused the ground to tremble slightly with each step. Though seemingly clumsy, his steps were surprisingly swift. In just a few strides, he arrived behind Fang Chen. His massive body cast a deep, heavy shadow, enveloping Fang Chen. "Still eating?" Tao Zhengjun watched Fang Chen continue eating, completely ignoring him. He couldn't help but let out an angry laugh. Did he truly believe that with senior sister Lu's protection, he could do whatever he pleased? He grabbed Fang Chen's shoulder and snorted, "Let me tell you. Among new disciples, who's the boss depends on skill, not on women. Understood?" Fang Chen put down his chopsticks, his brow gradually furrowing. He calmly said, "Take your hand off." Tao Zhengjun found it amusing. Not only did he not remove his hand, but he slowly applied more pressure. He followed the path of dual cultivation of both magic and body, his strength capable of easily crushing stone. Anyone whose shoulder he gripped would be unable to remove his hand, unless their bones were shattered. "What, not convinced? Then let me see what abilities you possess." He was already prepared for Fang Chen to use spiritual energy, even anticipating what moves Fang Chen might employ. However, Fang Chen made a move that neither he nor any of the disciples present had anticipated. He extended his hand and firmly gripped Tao Zhengjuan's palm. Due to his stature, Fang Chen's palm seemed like a small child's hand gripping an adult's. Tao Zhengjun couldn't help but chuckle. "What, do you want to test arm strength with me? So scrawny, how much power could you possibly have?" In the distance, the senior disciple also showed a hint of disdain. In battle, one should avoid an opponent's strengths and exploit their weaknesses. Yet Fang Chen, quite the contrary, directly confronted Tao Zhengjun in his strongest area. Was such a mind truly worthy of being a disciple of the sect leader's peak? However, the next moment, a pained shriek suddenly echoed through the refectory. It was Tao Zhengjuan's. The senior disciple involuntarily glanced over, his pupils instantly constricting. He saw Fang Chen's seemingly small palm effortlessly grip Tao Zhengjuan's wrist, slowly but steadily removing his hand from Fang Chen's shoulder. He didn't seem to exert much force, yet it caused Tao Zhengjun, a body cultivator, to hop in pain, desperately trying to withdraw his hand, but it was held as if by an iron clamp, unable to be pulled back. This scene left all the disciples present stunned. Then, with an effortless flick, the towering Tao Zhengjun was sent reeling backward by an immense force,
crashing into a main pillar, shaking the entire roof.
Tao Zhengjun looked around, seeing pairs of astonished eyes, and felt deeply humiliated.
Let's go again!
He roared, then rushed forward, his fists fiercely striking Fang Chen's back.
Unable to bear the annoyance any longer, Fang Chen abruptly stood up and declared, "Unless I beat you down, I won't be able to eat in peace."
Facing the incoming fists, he responded with his own pair of fists, engaging in a straightforward, skill-less clash.
Snap!
A dull, explosive sound, like a leather whip striking the ground, echoed.
Tao Zhengjun's bulky body, which had been charging forward, seemed to collide with an invisible wall and was abruptly flung backward.
He overturned several tables before collapsing to the ground, howling in agony. His arms were in excruciating pain, as if their bones had shattered, rendering them unable to bend.
In contrast, Fang Chen, with an impassive expression, walked up to him with his hands behind his back.
He placed a foot on Tao Zhengjun's chest and, with a slight exertion of force, caused Tao Zhengjun to let out a pig-like shriek of agony.
"Do you still wish to compete?" Fang Chen asked indifferently. How could Tao Zhengjun not realize he had encountered a formidable opponent whose body-refining techniques far surpassed his own? He immediately shook his head and conceded, "No more, I surrender."
Only then did Fang Chen remove his foot, allowing Tao Zhengjun to finally breathe. Recalling the recent scene, Tao Zhengjun was utterly terrified of Fang Chen, cowering and keeping his distance, no longer daring to provoke him.
The disciples watched in astonishment. Impressive.
Junior brother Fang hides his true abilities well, he's actually a master of physical combat.
No wonder senior sister Lu favors him so much. A talent. He is absolutely a talent.
Our Qingyun sect has very few body refiners, but now our main peak has produced such a promising talent.
Clack!
A crisp sound was heard as the senior disciple brother put down his chopsticks.
With his hands clasped behind his back and a stern expression, he approached Fang Chen. "Causing trouble in the refectory, do you know your fault?" Fang Chen, who was about to resume eating, frowned and muttered, "Why are there 6 more? State your name first, then speak."
The female disciple beside him sharply scolded, "Presumptuous!
This is our main peak's senior disciple brother, Wang Chengjian." "Senior brother Wang."
"So, this is the senior disciple brother,"
Fang Chen said, neither humble nor arrogant. "Senior disciple brother asks a good question. When trouble arose, you did not stop it, do you know your fault?"
This series of counter-questions made many disciples gasp. As expected of someone under senior sister Lu's protection, he actually dares to speak to the senior disciple brother like that. In a way, the senior disciple brother acts on behalf of the master to supervise the junior disciples, wielding considerable authority. If it had been any other disciple acting this way, they would have been disciplined on the spot. However, Wang Chengjian was wary of Fang Chen's relationship with Lu Qingxian, and he himself was already suspected of condoning the dispute today. Should the matter escalate, he too would not escape punishment.
Wang Chengjian's gaze deepened slightly, and he slowly uttered 4 words, "Remarkable courage." Fang Chen cupped his hands and said coolly, "Thank you for the compliment, senior disciple brother."
Wang Chengjian replied coldly, "You're welcome.
I hope that in the assignment a few days from now, you will perform as splendidly as you do now. Otherwise, I wouldn't mind having you clean the latrines."
Having spoken, he departed with his hands clasped behind his back.
Fang Chen shrugged indifferently and continued eating his meal.
To the astonished gazes of the disciples, he consumed 5 large bowls of rice before finally feeling full. Back in his cave dwelling, Fang Chen did not sit idly by, instead taking out several common spices. He ground them into powder one by one, then sieved out the coarse particles. Finally, he blended the spices together and slowly baked them over a low flame. After a night, he held a jade bottle containing half a bottle of transparent liquid.
"Let's go test it."
Fang Chen arrived at the cliff on the east side of the Sect Master peak. The wolf-headed bee's hive was located halfway up the cliff, and their ferocity was well known.
Just descending the cliff was already quite dangerous.
When he arrived, 3 other disciples who had also been tasked with collecting honey were already there, tied to ropes and harvesting below.
After a long while, they climbed up, looking rather disheveled. 2 of them were fine, their bodies wrapped tightly, resembling 2 large bears. The wolf-headed bee's stingers simply could not penetrate their thick clothing.
The other plump disciple was the one who had called Fang Chen for a meal. He, however, was out of luck, his belly was too large, causing his pants to split open and expose his midsection. The wolf-headed bees unceremoniously stung him 49 times there, raising a dense mass of red, swollen blisters. The pain made him roll around on the ground. "Quick, give me a pain relief pill." He clutched his head, crying out in pain, questioning his very existence. The other 2 disciples looked troubled, stating, "The last pain relief pills we had were all given to you last time." Upon hearing this, the plump disciple let out a wail akin to ghosts and wolves, nearly deafening Fang Chen. Fang Chen decisively took action, striking him once on the back of the head. The plump disciple rolled his eyes and immediately fainted. "Pain relief pills don't have this good an effect." Fang Chen pursed his lips. The 2 disciples looked bewildered, but upon reflection, it was indeed true. Simple, crude, and it saves money on spiritual pills. Seeing Fang Chen arrive, the 2 disciples were surprised, asking, "Could it be that junior brother's task is also to collect wolf-headed honey?" Fang Chen nodded. He picked up a rope and said, "I'll borrow your rope for a bit." "Junior brother Fang, wait," the 2 disciples shouted in unison. "You can't go. Something has changed in the beehive, it's dangerous for anyone to go now." "Changed?" Fang Chen asked in surprise. "Please enlighten me, senior brothers." A disciple took off his thick clothes, a worried expression on his face. "We had also intended to collect honey just now, but when we arrived, we discovered a spirit beast had invaded the beehive. It's devouring the honey voraciously. This has agitated all the wolf-head bees, causing them to frantically attack the spirit beast. When we descended, the wolf-head bees mistakenly identified us as accomplices. They also attacked us like mad." As he spoke, the disciple shook his clothes, and hundreds of dense bee stingers fell to the ground from them. This shows just how frenzied the wolf-head bees are at this moment. "Junior brother, if you really want to go down, perhaps another day," 2 disciples kindly advised. "Wait for another day? Who knows how much honey will be left by then after the spirit beast has eaten it? Failing to collect 3 caddies means failing the mission. This is my first time carrying out master's instructions, I can't mess it up, can I?" "I'll go down and take a look," Fang Chen said. Seeing Fang Chen heed no advice, the disciple said, "Then wear my thick clothes. If you go down like that, you'll be stung to death." Fang Chen shook his head, "No need." With that, he grabbed the rope and began to rappel down the cliff. The 2 disciples couldn't help but frown. This junior brother Fang is too arrogant. "Let's wait here, it won't be long before he cries for help." Fang Chen didn't actually need the rope. With his agility, he could traverse the sheer cliffs as if on flat ground. He simply didn't want to worry his 2 senior brothers too much. Soon, he slid down to the middle of the cliff. Below is a bottomless abyss. I truly wonder what kind of spirit beast could climb to such a high position to steal honey. From a distance, he indeed saw a man-sized cave on the cliff face, with large golden yellow honeycombs exposed within it. Countless wolf-head bees were buzzing wildly, periodically rushing into the cave to attack something. Just then, a wolf-head bee spotted Fang Chen and immediately flapped its wings, lunging towards him. Fang Chen promptly uncorked a pre-prepared jade bottle, releasing an astonishingly potent aroma. After the wolf-head bee approached, it surprisingly ceased its attack. Instead, it continuously circled him, seemingly mistaking Fang Chen for a flower ripe for pollination, and its hostility vanished. Fang Chen secretly noted that this method was indeed effective, and he easily slid all the way down to the cave entrance. Peering inside, he couldn't help but be astonished. He saw an unknown spirit beast, the size of an orange cat, with large, watery eyes, a black nose, and orange fur, leaning against the honeycomb. It had its legs crossed and was clutching a piece of honeycomb dripping with honey in each of its small paws. It took a bite from the left, ate half, then, finding the piece in its paw too small and its short legs unable to reach its mouth, casually tossed it aside. It then picked up a new, larger piece and continued to munch happily. The ground was littered with discarded honeycombs. A rough estimate suggested that the wasted honey alone amounted to no less than 5 caddies. "You prodigal!" A vein throbbed on Fang Chen's forehead. "It's a good thing I came, otherwise no amount of honey here would be enough for it to squander." Even more infuriatingly, it relied on its thick hide, which the wolf-head bees could not sting through, and brazenly stuck its tongue out at them, displaying a truly obnoxious demeanor that utterly invited a beating. "You little rascal!" Fang Chen couldn't help but scold. Only then did the little spirit beast notice the intruder, immediately dropping to all fours, its tail held high, all the fur on its body bristling. It opened its small mouth, bared its teeth, and let out strange cries, showing not the slightest fear of humans. Fang Chen was amused. He stepped forward, intending to grab its neck and throw it out.